12-year-old son wants to commit suicide, and it's because I have lived a life of being a drug addict. I did methamphetamine for 13 years.
Some cases break your heart right before they make you shake your head. Today, we're watching a father make an absolutely devastating confession in open court. He actually admits that his lifelong drug addiction pushed his young son to the point of wanting to take his own life. It's incredibly hard to listen to. But the justice system doesn't run on sympathy, and no matter how painful your family situation is, it doesn't excuse dodging your probation officer for almost an entire year. Watch how this judge handles a deeply emotional moment with the cold, hard reality of the law.
All right, the court is calling 2024 CR 5668 State versus Richard Rodriguez. Can I have parties announced?
Megan Galloway for the state.
For the defense?
Roger Bettis, Your Honor.
And are you Richard Renee Rodriguez?
Yes, sir.
All right, did you review the document entitled Motion to Enter Adjudication of Guilt and Revoke Community Supervision and First Amendment Motion to Enter Adjudication of Guilt and Revoke Community Supervision with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, sir.
All right, are you the same Richard Rodriguez III who was placed on deferred adjudication in 2024 CR 5668 for the offense of assault family second offense on June 20th, 2024 for a period of 6 years?
Yes, sir.
All right, state.
Violation of condition number 4 in Bexar County, Texas. The defendant, Richard Rodriguez III, did then and there fail to report to the supervision officer as directed for the months of December of 2024, February, March, and April of 2025 in violation of condition number 4.
How do you plead true or not true?
And violation of condition number 4 in Bexar County, Texas. The defendant, Richard Rodriguez III, did then and there fail to report to the supervision officer as directed for the months of May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and December of 2025 in violation of condition number 4.
How do you plead to that, true or not true?
True.
And we waive and abandon the remainders, Your Honor.
Any objections?
No objections.
All right. Did you understand by pleading true to 4 and 4, the court could find it true, grant the motion, find you guilty,
Yes, sir.
and sentence you up to 10 years in the prison and up to $10,000 fine?
Yes, sir.
Knowing that, do you still wish to plead true to violations 4 and 4?
Yes, sir.
Is there, then the court will find 4 and 4 true? Is there a proposed agreement?
There is, Your Honor. It's for the court to grant the state's motion, enter an adjudication of guilt against the defendant, revoke his community supervision, sentence him to 6 years in the prison, and the state will take into consideration cause number 2026 PF 15658.
That's actually not the agreed term, but
Oh.
the concept is what the DA would prefer, and the probation also has a suggestion.
All right.
So if I may, this is Mr. Rodriguez's first MTR. He's on deferred. He hadn't had any contact with the victim at all since the date of this particular offense. In the year of 2024, when he's placed on deferred, he was doing well. He went to the lifetime inpatient program, completed that successfully. He's completed the outpatient program successfully. In 2025, he then ran into some financial difficulties. He's been living stable since 2026 at this Christian ministry home. In 2025, he was a little bit sporadic and short of money, so that's why he didn't get into the BIT program and failed to report. But he was working at Denny's in 2025. And then in 2026, he's also obtained employment late 25 and 26 in Long John Silver's. He is the father of 3 kids. He is involved in their life. The reason for this was he had a vape pen in him when he was caught jaywalking, and that's why he's here today. He hadn't had any alcohol since the date of this offense, which was partially the reason for us beginning this process in the criminal justice system. The probation office is requesting or suggesting that he would benefit from substance abuse treatment, and the SATF program would be a good one. And so we also think that would be a good idea, or maybe a relapse program lifetime, or if
Why
any,
is he not reporting? Like, it's easy to pick up the phone and call somebody, or is he saying he didn't have a phone during that time period, or like, why didn't he report? That, I mean, that's the easiest thing to do.
Right, ma'am.
Like, you want to raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can lower your hand. So you've been missing, so why didn't you report?
Honestly, ma'am, I put some expectations on myself. Miss Carrie Brown, she was telling me that I had to get my battery prevention classes done. I know that I didn't have them done. I just started getting anxiety, have some fear of just going and not having my stuff done. And I just didn't end up going. And I accept it and completely sorry. I'm not asking for mercy and grace today. If I can have that.
But I mean, here's the problem. You've been missing for a long time. And based upon, and correct me if I'm wrong, counsel, the only reason you're before me is because you had a vape pen, so you got arrested, and that's how you ended up before me. Otherwise, we still wouldn't have seen you.
I was going to turn myself in eventually. I was talking to a lawyer with my pastor, and I was going to eventually turn myself in. Unfortunately, this is how it happened. I don't know if it was divine intervention or what, but it definitely did humble me. Being in Barry County is very, very tough. And I'm missing my children. My 12-year-old son wants to commit suicide, and it's because I have lived a life of being a drug addict. I did methamphetamine for 13 years. I've been clean for 2.5 years since the last offense. I've been clean from alcohol, and then I had a small hiccup of a debt, and just trying to incorporate life with the ministry and with my family. It is very, very hard, man. It's very, very hard, especially growing up in a household where drugs were, I was used to it, you know, and it was just regular. First time I did cocaine was I was 9 years old, you know, so I do definitely need help, and Lifetime did definitely help me out, and I didn't.
But isn't one thing about Lifetime and being there, it's like accepting responsibility and making amends. And part of accepting responsibility is reporting.
Right now, I know that the law has no mercy, but I'm asking you in the name of Jesus, because.
All right, so here's the thing.
So,
Don't put Jesus on me. Here's the thing about that, and this is what I'm going to tell you. The law, there's supposed to be a separation of church and state, right? So you're saying, hey, on Jesus, you know, I need you to do A, B, and C. I'm not allowed to do that.
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Even though I'm a Baptist, guess what? When I'm on the bench, I'm not supposed to be a Baptist. On the bench, I'm just looking at the law and trying to make decisions that will protect the community if I continue somebody and rehabilitate. That's it.
I'm pleading with you. I'm just pleading.
Okay.
Forgive me.
Any questions?
Can I see the court?
we would just ask if in the alternative, it could be a same, you know, a term that is a lot less than what is available to the court.
Okay. Mr. Rodriguez, so when you were placed on probation, you had provided, or I guess, were you working at Denny's before you were placed on probation, or?
And I still had to look for a job.
Okay, and so the Denny's that you. Okay, and so this 1125 South San Zamora address, is that where you were living before you were placed on probation or after?
After I was placed on probation.
Okay, and so you were placed on probation and then that was in 2024, and you reported from, I guess, June of 2024 until December of 2024. Does that sound about right to you?
Yes.
Okay, and regarding lifetime recovery, did you do inpatient or outpatient?
I did both.
You did both?
Patient and then outpatient. Whenever I got out, I did 3 months.
Oh, okay.
This one.
And so you stated, I guess, once you left, when did you get out of lifetime recovery? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Was it closer to that December mark or closer to when you were placed on probation?
Sometime in 2024.
Okay, but do you remember, was it like June, July of 2024 or like November, December 2020?
I can't remember what's like that. It was whenever I was discharged, then I went over there, did inpatient,
Okay.
45 days. And then I got out and I did 3 months outpatient.
Okay. And then after that, then that's where you have the issues reporting, is that correct?
No, ma'am, I was actually reporting after I got out.
After you got out, for
Yeah.
how long?
I'm not too sure.
Okay. And then I guess as part of the terms of your probation, you were supposed to be having UAs, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so you did report for 2 UAs, do you remember that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and that would have been after you got out of lifetime recovery, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And then you non-report in December. And so you stated to the court that you had been sober for how long?
From what? From alcohol, from my last mishap.
Okay, so when you were placed on probation, are you saying that that's the last time that you had consumed alcohol?
No, ma'am. Whenever I got arrested, that for the charge,
Uh-huh.
that was the last time.
Okay,
Yeah, because before prior to that, I was sober for 4 months
okay,
before any mishaps, and then I drank, and that's what happened.
okay.
Yeah.
But then, so you're saying that you were just sober from alcohol, not from THC or marijuana, is that correct?
No, ma'am, I was sober from all of that, yeah. But alcohol is the main problem that I had with myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess my question to you is that if you, or I don't know if I'm misunderstanding you, but if you're sober, then why are you having THC pens in your pocket?
Right, that just barely happened right before I had crossed the street and jaywalking. Yeah,
Okay, so are you saying that you relapsed or?
yeah, I relapsed.
Okay, so you
And
had,
from a dad, from something from a smoke shop. I'm not trying to justify it.
okay, but it's a dab, that's marijuana, right? Everyone knows that, right? Illegal, right?
Well, yes.
And especially when you're on probation, you're not supposed to be consuming illegal substances, correct? Okay. We pass the witness, Your Honor.
Any further
We-
questions?
Just ask that if you could consider, within the range on the lower end, if you decide to move in that direction.
All right. I just don't think you're appropriate to be continued. I mean, you've been missing for a very long time. And the only reason why you're in front of me now is because you were arrested. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
Believe it or not, I was going to turn myself in eventually. Because I know it's just a matter of time before I get caught up.
Let me just tell you, anytime you know there are motions to revoke out there, you can't ignore the problem, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, this is what the court is going to do. The court is finding 4 and 4 true. The court is going to grant the motion, revoke, find you guilty. And what is his prior criminal history? Does anyone know?
Judge, if you give me 1 second.
Sure. The court is taking in consideration 2026 PF 15658. There's an affirmative finding of family violence. And I previously ordered no unsupervised contact with minors.
Judge, so just regarding this mystery, these are misdemeanor, assault, family violence, and terroristic.
All right, the court is going to sentence you to 6 years in the prison, give you credit for any time served. Did you review the document entitled, and I'll request the therapeutic community? And he will receive credit for any time served for successful inpatient treatment. Did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, sir.
All right, you have a limited right to appeal. That right to appeal is as it relates to the allegations in the motion, not the fact that you were on deferred adjudication. Because this is a felony conviction, because there's an affirmative finding of family violence, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question on that, you need to speak to the attorney. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
That's a heavy sentence, but it comes from a truly heartbreaking situation. When you hear a grown man admit his addiction started when he was just 9 years old, and then hear the immense guilt he carries over his 12-year-old son's mental health, it's just sad. You can't help but feel for the guy. But at the end of the day, a judge's job isn't to be a therapist. Like she said herself, she's on that bench to protect the community and uphold the law. He couldn't follow the rules on the outside, so she made the only call she could. But I want to hear from you guys. Is the prison system actually equipped to handle broken people like this? Or did the judge make the absolute right call for public safety? Let's talk about it in the comments.